네, 안녕하세요. 먼저 제 톤엑스원 보드를 소개시켜 드리도록 하겠습니다. 시그널은 간단하게 여기 튜너부터 시작해서 튜너, 그 다음에 노이즈 게이트, 그리고 D2로 와서 그 다음에 여기 스플리터로 온 다음에 여기 스플리터에서 이렇게 톤엑스원 1, 2로 신호를 두 개로 분기를 했습니다. 그래서 이게 직렬로 연결되어 있는 게 아니고 요거 쓸 때는 여기다가 꽂고 요거 쓸 때는 여기다가 꽂고 그런 식으로 만들어 놨거든요. 왜 이렇게 했냐면은 요거를 그 웹보드에 장착을 해서 그 앰프로 활용을 하려고 하는 거거든요. 그래가지고 이거는 드라이, 이거는 웹 그런 식으로 해가지고 사용을 하다가 또 이제 간편하게 또 요거만 따로 분리를 해서 사용을 하기도 하고 그렇게 하려고 이렇게 만들어 봤습니다. 그래서 톤엑스원 그 컨트롤러, 톤엑스원 1의 컨트롤러, 그리고 이거 두 개는 프리셋 업다운, 그리고 이쪽은 코러스랑 페이저 누를 때마다 바뀌는 거고, 이쪽은 플랜저와 로터리를 누를 때마다 바뀌게 만들어 놨고요. 그리고 요거는 그 모드, 딜레이, 리버브, 온오프, 그리고 요거는 탭 템포 이렇게 만들었습니다. 그리고 이쪽은 톤엑스원 2, 톤엑스원 2의 그 컨트롤러, 그리고 컨트롤러의 프리셋 업다운, 그리고 톤엑스원 1의 이 듀얼 스위치는 여기에도 연결이 되어 있습니다. 그래가지고 이거를 바꾸면은, 만약에 이거를 뭐 코러스나 페이저, 플랜저, 로터리를 바꾸면은 이 두 개가 동시에 같이 바뀌게 그렇게 연결을 해놨습니다. 원래 톤엑스원 2의 듀얼 스위치도 여기다가 장착을 했었는데 요거 D2를 넣느라고 하나를 빼고 두 개를 여기다가 합쳤습니다. 이렇게 만들어 봤고요. 자, 요 톤엑스원 보드를 어떻게 만들었는지 시간이 날 때마다 영상에 담아 가지고 뒷부분에 모아서 설명을 해놨으니까요. 관심 있는 분들은 끝까지 시청해 주시면 되겠습니다. 그럼 전원을 한번 넣어 보도록 하겠습니다. 이렇게 전원이 들어왔죠. 자, 이 보면은 되게 알록달록한데 스트랩을 연결해서 붙여놨거든요. 한번 보시겠습니다.
Build a Tonexone controller. I'll show you the process of making the Tonexone controller you see here. When using the Tonexone by itself, you're limited to switching between 2 amps or simply turning it on and off. But by building a controller like this, you can choose from up to 20 amps, and controlling modules, delay, reverb, and more becomes much more convenient. It essentially turns the Tonexone into a completely different device. Materials: Tonexone 3.5-inch touchscreen, Ampero dual switch, Mosky dual switch, 2x 1/4-inch DS connectors, 2x 1/4-inch DRS connectors, 9 volts to 5 volts step-down converter, wire stripper, 8-pin JSD cable, 4-pin JSD cable, angled USB-C cable, scissors, utility knife, needle nose pliers, Phillips screwdriver, electrical tape, solder, 1/4-inch DRS cable, soldering iron. Download the firmware for the 3.5-inch touchscreen. Connect the 3.5-inch touchscreen to your computer with a USB-C to USB-C cable. Check and note the connected device name in the computer's device management system. Run the downloaded controller firmware program. The download link is provided below. On the program's main screen, select the options as shown below. Here, select the port for the 3.5-inch controller that you checked earlier. Press the Start button to update the firmware. Once the update is complete, disconnect the power from the 3.5-inch controller and then reconnect it. This shows that the firmware has been successfully installed. Connecting the Tone and the controller. Prepare a 4-pin JSD cable and an 8-pin JSD cable. Connect each cable to the matching connector on the back of the 3.5-inch controller. Most pedalboard power supplies provide 9 volts. However, since the 3.5-inch controller requires 5 volts, solder the positive, plus, and negative, dash, wires to a step-down converter. If it doesn't work properly, it may be easier to connect it via USB. You can simply plug it directly into the USB port without needing a step-down converter. Connect the Tonexone to the 3.5-inch controller using a USB-C to USB-C cable. Connect the power supply to the Tonexone as well. The reason for using a 3.5-inch touchscreen is that it matches the length of the Tonexone. Let's power it on to see if everything works properly. It's working successfully. Connecting the dual switch. Before installing the dual switch, I'll quickly test it. The reason for using the Ampero dual switch instead of the Mosky dual switch is to make it slightly angled due to its height. This slight angle improves visibility, making it easier to operate. If I use the Mosky dual switch, it becomes flat like this, making it hard to see. I'll set the Mosky dual switch aside for now to install it later separately. Cut a short piece of TRS cable and connect it to the TRS connector. Then, according to the wiring diagram on the right, solder the wire you just plugged in. Once the connections are complete, let's connect it to the Ampero dual switch. It works successfully. Now I'm arranging the Tonexone, the 3.5-inch controller, and the dual switch together. Position the Tonexone so that its input side is touching the top edge of the 3.5-inch unit. It's best if the small lip on the top of the 3.5-inch unit slightly overlaps. Then, position the bottom of the 3.5-inch unit so that it rests against the cable connector. Measure the width and height using a ruler. I measured it as 135 mm x 90 mm. Order an acrylic plate cut to 135 mm x 90 mm from an acrylic cutting service. Then, use Dual Lock or Monster Gel to attach the unit to the acrylic plate. The advantage of the 3.5-inch controller is not only that its size fits perfectly with the Tonexone, but also that it allows you to connect and use 2 dual switches. The connection method is the same as described earlier. The second dual switch should be connected to wires 3 and 4. Additionally, you can connect the chocolate MIDI controller via Wi-Fi. This allows you to use up to 3 switches in total. In that case, you will have 8 buttons available. I added a noise gate and a buffer tuner in the remaining space on the board. Depending on your preference, you could also add a booster or even another Tonexone. When a controller is added to the Tonexone, it becomes a completely different, extremely powerful multi-effects unit. Preset up. Preset down. Connect the chocolate controller's Wi-Fi to the 3.5-inch controller. Modulation on/off. Delay on/off. Reverb on/off. Tap tempo. Chorus, phaser toggle. Flanger, Rotary toggle. The switch functions can be freely customized to suit your preferences. How to assign commands to the switches. Let's take a look at how to assign commands to 2 dual switches and 1 chocolate pedal. First, turn on the controller. Once the booting is complete, immediately find and connect to ToneConfig in your computer's Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi password is '123456778'. Type tone.local in the address bar and press enter. Then the Tone Controller settings screen will appear. From here, you can configure all the settings. First, click BT. Then, set it up as shown on the screen, and the chocolate pedal will be connected via Bluetooth and ready to use. Then, click it, and a window will appear where you can assign commands to the 2 dual switches. Here, simply select the desired commands, and the setup is complete. Setting up commands on the chocolate pedal. Let's take a look at how to set up the chocolate pedal. Turn on the chocolate pedal. Connect it to your iPhone or iPad via Bluetooth. By selecting Advanced Custom Mode, you can assign commands to the 4 buttons on the chocolate pedal. Let's assign the mod toggle command to that button. Select Single Step, switch between 2 banks. Enter the settings for Bank A and Bank B as shown on the screen. The mod number for the Tonexone is 32. This means that on/off is set using 0 and 127. Once you know the MIDI number for the Tonexone, you can assign other commands in the same way. I'll provide the MIDI numbers for the Tonexone in the link below. How to change the amp image on the Tonexone controller and how to add notes.
자, 여기 화면을 누르면 이렇게 앰프의 모양을 바꿀 수가 있습니다. 그리고 여기 메모장 빈 공간을 누르면 이렇게 타자를 칠 수도 있습니다. 여기 체크를 누르면 다시 돌아오고요.
That's everything. Now, build and customize your Tonexone board to suit your personal preferences.